Hi, I'm Veer Aditya from the Energy Department, and I'm a part of the Energy Club of IIT Bombay.
Yep. Hello, Veer.
I
Hi,
am
hi, Dev.
Arya from Environmental Science and Engineering Department, and I am also part of Energy Club.
Yep. Hello,
Hello,
Arya.
I'm
How are you?
Shauri. I'm from Civil Department and I'm a convener of Energy Club.
Hello, Sharia.
So, hello, Devansh. I welcome you to the podcast on the behalf of the Energy Club. We're honored to discuss about various initiatives in the energy sector, your accomplishments, and get better insights into the field. So, shall we begin?
Sure.
So, starting off, could you tell us a bit about yourselves, what you're currently working on, your interests, and your hobbies?
So, my name is Devansh Timbadia, right? And I have been in the startup industry for almost now 6 to 7 years, right? And since the beginning, I have been inclined towards working into this sector and not going to any other MNC because this has somewhat become my hobby, right? Wherein I like to be in the journey of a product or an idea from 0 to 1 and then 1 to 100 in terms of monetizing it and getting it out. So yeah, that's very brief about me. And currently also in my current capacity and the role at Oorja, that's what I am doing, wherein I've been working with them for from creating a brainchild, which was PieKart, to deploying it, monetizing it, and in the Oorja as well, working on multiple domains on how we can optimize or organize the logistics sector as a whole, right? And not just provide vehicles, but to do something more than that. So that has been more of my background. And apart from that, yeah, given this kind of things, I am more of a trekking guy, right, who likes to go out on weekends, especially in Maharashtra, given there are so many small treks. So yeah, that's completely about me in short.
That's great to hear, having such
Yeah.
a diverse personality. So, you graduated from NMIMS. Can you tell
Yeah.
us a bit about your college experience and what was the time when you decided to take up the role as a product manager?
So NMIMS was a completely different game for me because it was the first time when I moved to Mumbai. So I'm basically from Gujarat and coming from a business family and coming to the financial capital of India. It was a very different vibe for me. And that too, NMIMS, which is again very well known for its finance, its infrastructure, right, and the people teaching there. So firstly, I felt a bit out of the place, wherein I didn't knew how would I connect with people, how there would be a different mindset, ideologies, right, the way of living. But yeah, slowly and gradually, I had it from the very first day. So on the first in the first year itself, I got an opportunity to work at Sun Pharma. So in the first half, I used to go to college, and in the second half, I used to go to Sun Pharma as an intern for quite some time. And post that internship, I got an opportunity via one of my professor, Prathamesh Shuri, to get into the startup world. So he introduced me to his friend Omkar Pimple, wherein I connected with him, and he had an idea, and I was the first employee there or I would say first intern there to join his team in India. He was a Indian German founder. So in the second year itself, I joined as an intern on the product side, wherein we started working on the product called Promexa, which was an examination platform, an AI-based examination platform, which was operated without internet. So for basically giving an exam, you had to go offline on your mobile device. And still, AI would capture your facial expressions and would give a cheating prediction score and also your report card and everything as soon as you come back online. So that was the product, which was just in the initial stages. So that's when I joined, and from there I had my learning curve towards the product management because I started as a product manager intern in the second year, and by the time I was in the third year and had completed 1 year with Cerebranium, so Promexa was the product and Cerebranium was the company. So by the time 1 year was completed, I very well knew that I was good at managing people, understanding the logic, building ecosystem behind the logic, orchestrating the people, orchestrating teams, and getting the work done. and also more on the customer side, understanding the use cases, creating personas, right, and delivering what was actually acceptable out there. So that's where I had an inclination that this is what I can do. And from third year, again with the help of Professor Prathamesh and another faculty of mine, Supriya ma'am, with them I started my journey towards product management and went through certain courses, wrote some research papers, and instead of a 1 year project, last year project, we did a 2 year project, which again got quite good appreciation across the university. So yeah, that was, I would say, the turning point where I thought that instead of being a computer engineer and going into the development world, coding world, I would be a right fit in the product management world.
Great to hear. I think when you told that you were overwhelmed when you came to Bombay for the first time, I think we all felt the same. And
Yeah.
it seems like you have been a hardworking person all your life. You've been doing a half-time internship in your first year. That's something commendable. And then throughout the years, you've been doing internships in different companies. So this was about your college life. After graduating from college, what did you do? And how is it helping you now at work?
So I stayed with Cerebranium from my second year, and once I graduated, I joined there as a full-time product manager. And by that time, we had built Promexa. It was out there, and daily more than 1,000 students were taking examination on Promexa. So it was already monetized partially. So that's when we decided to take kind of a pivot, or let's say introduce a second product, right? Which we named as Miracle, right? So it's MYRACLE. So Miracle was different in many ways. It was into extended reality, right? Which is XR, the amalgamation of VR and AR, right, wherein we transform the STEM education, the experiments which we do in our 8th standard, 9th standard, 10th standard, that microscope experiment, litmus paper test, right, all onion peel experiment, all those experiments we transformed into extended reality, wherein one just needs a mobile phone. They can place a table in their own reality. They have to go near the table, interact with the elements on the table, just with the help of their phone, with an idea that with this we can probably reach those parts of India wherein still the science labs in the schools are not available, or they cannot afford, right? Which is again in most of the schools that I have seen in my tenure in Gujarat, in my hometown, in Mumbai, right? That many schools don't have science labs, wherein in the 9th, 10th standard or 11th, 12th, they actually don't perform these experiments. It's just that the journals are filled. So we thought that everyone has a smartphone, right? So why not use that as an asset and give them accessibility to this experiment? So that's where we started building into a completely different technology, which is XR Unity. We use Unity as a platform, and we built that product for a year. And again, I was working as a product manager, but then we grew from a team of 8 people to more than 60 people in India, and I was leading them. And after a year of building it, we started to monetize it. We reached out to government bodies, we reached out to government schools, BMC, and slowly started onboarding students into that. Right. So that's where I transitioned into a different role as a business head or senior product manager, interact with kids, interact with principal, interact with parents. And that was actually for the first 2 years after my graduation, that how I spent building the second product line, monetizing it. And post that, I think once it was monetized and it had covered its journey, I thought that my time was done, and so I decided to move towards Oorja. Yeah. So that has
Thank you
been
for
pretty much
sharing.
after graduation.
Yeah, so thank you for sharing your career journey and how it has influenced your current work. So moving on to your current role at Oorja, I understand that the company is focused on reducing carbon footprints by deploying EVs in various markets. So could you explain this in detail and give a brief about Oorja's vision?
Yeah, so Oorja is more into providing mid-mile logistics. Right now, what is mid-mile is providing delivery services from the mother hub of any company, mother warehouse, to its smaller warehouse within city. Right. So since you guys are in Mumbai, if we take example of Mumbai, most of the companies have their mother warehouses in either Bhiwandi or Panvel or Taloja, right? And their smaller warehouses in the hearts of the city like Powai or Ghatkopar or different areas. So what Oorja does is we provide delivery services from picking the material in from the mother warehouse and bringing it to your nearest hub, right? Now, how we are different from a classic transport company or a logistics company is that we just don't provide vehicles. What we do is we understand what kind of requirement they have, what kind of material they want to move, right, to the number of warehouses, and we try to club all the material and optimize space, time, and cost, and we try to do it in much lesser vehicles. So for example, if currently they are using 4 or 5 vehicles to do certain deliveries, we try to get it done in 2 or 3 by deploying bigger vehicles, right? And when there are short deliveries required or the distance is not more, we try to do it through EV, because that brings down the cost furthermore. So that's how we are different. So we have built our own tech stack, we have built our intelligent routing system, we have built our dynamic vehicle allocation system, right? And all of it building in-house, we are able to now deliver for most of the bigger clients like Zepto, Swiggy, Walmart, Flipkart. So across India, we do more than 90% of their mid-mile deliveries. So Oorja has been to that level right now, and we have started our converting our fleets into EV. So currently, more than 20% of our fleet is also of EV across India. So that's what Oorja does as a whole. And yeah, the two ways through which we try to contribute is one, reducing the number of vehicles, and two, deploying more and more EVs across different cities of India.
Yeah, that's really fascinating, and it's great to see companies taking significant steps towards sustainability. Speaking of innovative approaches, you are working on same-day delivery model with PieKart, which is a vertical of Oorja. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Correct.
Could you briefly elaborate on what type of technology and ideas you are considering behind this?
So again, when I joined Oorja, we were majorly working on the enterprise side, right, catering to clients like Walmart, Zepto, and that's where the founders also had a brainchild idea of PieKart, wherein if you take an example of MSME owners, right, the business owners who are manufacturers, distributors, yeah, traders, right, and they need delivery requirement within city from their manufacturing unit to multiple places across city, and the current option which they had was only to book a complete vehicle either via porter, right, or to go outside and get someone from outside as having a Tata Ace or a Bolero and get it delivered. But what was happening is that they generally end up utilizing only 50% of the space in the vehicle, right? Rest 50% is going empty, and still they have to pay for the complete vehicle, whether it is porter or whether it is a local vehicle, right? So that's where we thought that, for example, from Bhiwandi, if someone wants, there are 10 different people who want to send their material to South Bombay, and they are using 10 different vehicles individually, and all of those vehicles are going 50-60% empty. So why not bring a platform? Why not build a technology wherein we generate demand? We get these 10 people on the platform, they place orders with us, and then we club these orders and send this in only, let's say, 3 vehicles instead of 10, or 2 vehicles instead of 10. In that way, first is we are optimizing the space, second, we are optimizing time, and third, and the biggest factor is we are saving cost. Because taking a simple example, let's say if you are taking an auto from point A to point B, right, and you are a single person traveling and the cost is 100 rupees. So the capacity is of 3 people, you are the only person traveling, and still you are paying 100 rupees, because that's the cost for going A to B. Now, in the same concept for a sharing auto, right, he might charge you only 50 rupees, let's say 40 rupees, right? But then there are two more people who are paying 40 rupees. So as an individual, you end up saving 60% cost, and rickshawala as an individual ends up earning 20% more because he'll earn 120 rupees. So the whole ecosystem is benefited, and as a whole, instead of 3 rickshaws going from point A to point B, only 1 rickshaw is going from point A to point B. So again, reduction of vehicles on road, reduction of pollution, right? And cost saving is also there. So the same concept is for goods at PieKart, and that's the vision which we have, and we have been around with PieKart since 1.5 years now. And today itself, we crossed 1 lakh orders on our platform. So that's PieKart, which is, again, I would say, a smaller child to Oorja, right? The thing which Oorja does for enterprise clients, it's the same thing PieKart does for MSME clients. And we have in 1 year onboarded very good clients like Royal Enfield, Bata, Paragon, HUFT, Bajaj Music, right? All of them, and their 100% deliveries from their mother warehouse across Mumbai to their distributors is done under PieKart. So yeah, that's the way we are operating with PieKart in Mumbai.
It's impressive to see such innovative solutions being developed for the same day delivery. I'm myself confident that we'll see many innovations in this particular sector. The same day
Yeah.
delivery in itself is a multi-billion dollar market now, with many big players like Amazon, Blinkit being really bullish on it. So this brings to mind the broader challenges logistic companies face, especially in transitioning to the EVs. So what challenges do you think these logistics companies face in transitioning to the EVs, and how can these challenges be overcome?
So more than these logistics companies, I would like to focus on what we face as a challenge in EVs, right? The first and foremost is a very common problem, which is the range anxiety, right? What we as an individual have when we, let's say, take a car, EV car, and we decide to go somewhere. The first thing which we have is the range anxiety, whether after going to a certain distance, whether we'll get a charging station or not, right? So that's one thing which the drivers have when they are operating with EV. Second is the range in itself, right? So when you are going with a commercial vehicle, right, and you are delivering goods, the current maximum range which the vehicles are having is 100 kilometers, right? So if you just specifically talk about the geography of Mumbai, from Bhiwandi to South Bombay in itself is 63 kilometers, right? So if a vehicle goes from South Bombay, Bhiwandi to South Bombay, it has to wait there for another 4 hours to charge and come back, right? Which is essentially loss of money and time both. So that is second biggest problem which we generally face. So we are able to use EV only for local deliveries, wherein the delivery distance is not more than 60-70 kilometers, so that the vehicle can come back, recharge, and again go out. So typically, where in the time span of 24 hours, where we can utilize a vehicle for 4 trips or 3 trips, with EV you can do only 1 trip or 1.5 trip. So that's a very major bottleneck, because if the vehicle utilization increases, the vendor and the driver can recover the cost sooner, or can say the recover pay the EMI in less than 4 years or 3 years and end up saving more. But that's the challenge with EV currently. And second thing is the cost, which is again equal to the petrol or diesel vehicles. And if that comes down, then too there would be some motivation for people to go for EV commercial vehicles, right? So these are the major challenges or the bottlenecks which we see, which restricts someone to go into that mindset and get an EV and deploy it for commercial deliveries for long distances.
Okay, yeah. Even we face these problems in our campus. Like we have electric vehicles inside the campus, and many a times they've gone for charging, or some of the problems you mentioned earlier. So yeah, yes. So I have a follow-up question for the previous question. As you mentioned, the main idea of PieKart, your role at PieKart is as a business head. Can you please elaborate on that perspective, and what are you exactly doing on being that position, and some more aspects you'd like to tell us?
Correct. So at PieKart, what we are doing, like I said, we are trying to get this get into the shared mobility, right? And that too also with pay-per-use model, wherein, let's say, like I mentioned, if you are just utilizing, let's say, 100 kg, you're sending 100 kg of cargo, right, from point A to point B. That's only roughly around 20% of the vehicle capacity. So we charge you only the 20% of the vehicle cost, right? So that's the pay-per-use model we are trying to bring in the market, which is very much different, right? So generally people ask that whether we are same as Porter or whether we are same as VFast. So that's where we have to have certain difficulties in into explaining that how we are different. But the auto rickshaw example works very well for us, right? And yeah, penetrating the Indian customer market, that too in terms of logistics requirement, has been a challenge for almost every company out there, because the businesses think that logistics, actually that is also true, that logistics is just 2-3% of their PNL, right? It does not matter more in terms of cost. But what generally we overlook the fact that even though it's just 2-3%, the impact that is it's enabling you to fulfill your commitment, right? Because if your material does not reach on time to your customer, right, then no, it does not matter how good your product is or how good the requirement was. Time factor matters a lot, and that can only be solved through organizing the logistics. And that's what we generally try to put out with PieKart, because for MSME businesses, that's one of the major part, like commitment to their customers and fulfilling that, because cost does not play a bigger role. And with PieKart, I think we are fairly solving that and getting a good response. So because another USP which we have is they can send at a time to multiple location across Mumbai, which again is a challenge with the other options out there where you can have to book for each location a different vehicle. While with us, you simply have to put on the orders, just like you do for Zomato or Swiggy. You just keep on placing the orders with the delivery location, and it's our headache at the logistics side how we get it delivered, but we get it delivered on the same day. We pick it up in the morning, and by 7 o'clock in the evening, it reaches their receiver's doorstep. So that's the idea. And yeah, for that we have multiple people working. We have a customer support team, we have our operations team, our sales team, our marketing team, right, the business team. And I basically orchestrate and juggle between the multiple teams to unblock them and get it done. So that's more over my role, and yeah, fairly simpler about what PieKart does.
It was really great to hear about your role and what PieKart does exactly on the ground level. As you mentioned, cost is not the problem in the logistics sector, but it is majorly contributing towards reducing carbon emissions and sustainable development. According to your perspective, how much time will it take to transform this sustainable development industry, or we'll get to see a transformed landscape in this?
So I think for the end consumer or for the end user, it really does not matter how your material is being delivered, right? So whenever even we are ordering anything from Amazon, Flipkart, we hardly seem to care how is it reaching us, right? Which mode is being used when the parcel arrives at our doorstep, as long as it arrives, right? Even when we order something to Zomato, Swiggy, we generally don't see whether it was an EV bike or whether it was a normal bike or whether that guy came walking, right, or came on cycle. But if you go in the industry as a whole, in the logistics sector, I think there are steps being taken. There are big enterprises like Flipkart and all who are pushing down this thing, that now they themselves want that 30% of their deliveries are done through EVs, right? More and more bigger vehicles are used for the deliveries, so that the number of vehicles on the street is reduced, right? And that would again result in decongestion of the traffic. Lesser vehicles would again mean lesser pollution, right? But yeah, it's still a long way, because logistics, even though it contributes greatly into the GDP, but it is highly unorganized. Like 98% of the sector is unorganized, only 2% is organized as a whole, including everyone, whether it is courier or transport company, a startup working in logistics, including us. It's only 2% of the ecosystem. So until a major chunk is organized first, working on the reduction of the carbon emission or working on sustainability as a whole industry is fairly a long way from here. But yeah, there are certain initiatives from government as well, right, which are working towards this part. They are introducing systems, providing subsidies for EVs, right, promoting CPU models, cost per unit models, where people don't onboard direct vehicles, they just care about getting it delivered. The concept of Oorja, basically. So some steps are there, but a fairly long way from what I see, given the market we are catering to.
Yes, definitely. Until and unless we'll get it organized, it has a long time ahead.
Yeah.
Now to just just get off from the topic we are on,
Sure.
there's a different segment of question I have for you. Is any funny incident you'd like to share with us during your college days or at your work?
There are actually two, right?
Yeah.
I don't know whether I should be saying this or not, but when we were building Promexa and when we were building this whole cheating prediction algorithm and AI systems, right? So being the product manager, I knew what were the loopholes in the app, right? Or how one can cheat. So that system, Promexa, was introduced in NMIMS. And we had one or two exams on Promexa where everyone was shit scared that what will happen. अरे भाई ये ऐप यूज होने वाला है where हमको ऑफलाइन रहना पड़ेगा, how will we talk to each other and answer, because it was COVID time, right? And hardly anyone knew that I was the one who had actually been involved into building this app. So using that part and using those loopholes, it was only two exams which were conducted, but yeah, had fairly good. And later on, they discovered that I was working as an intern in the same work which had brought this system. So yeah, I had a lot of had to deal with a lot of curse words and disappointments. So that was one, and similar with PieKart, wherein in an alumni meet when we met, there were a few people who had joined or started their own business, and they were discussing about the new things which have come up in the market. And it was a very proud moment when they mentioned that there is something like PieKart, which is out in the market, and we have been using PieKart and have been a happy customer, and you should also try and all of it. And during my intro, it was announced that I am leading PieKart. So yeah, it was a very different vibe, but it was a funny at that time because they had also given some negative feedback, and I said, yeah, that's true. And later they know that I was the one who was gonna react on that. So these two incidents, which I clearly remember with my work.
It is really nice to hear. I wish this would have happened with us in IIT, but unfortunately, it hasn't yet. We can carry it over.
Yeah.
I would like to ask you another question. Since considering you being in Bombay for like almost a couple of years now, you're pretty aware of ins and outs of Bombay. Could you
Correct.
suggest good places to go for and to eat in Bombay for students like us who have been here for the first time?
So it also depends on what you want to do go out there, right? If you want to go clubbing or you want to go to socialize and network, it really depends what you want to do, right? But for three broader categories, which I generally have my team members also, because we also have trainees around from IIMs and IITs, right? What I
Yeah.
generally suggest is go for treks over the weekend. At least one or two treks you should go, right? Second is go to any random Starbucks. If you love networking and know about upcoming startups, go to any random Starbucks, whether it is in Powai, whether it is in RCT Mall, or whether it is in South Bombay, right? Interact with people. There are a lot many things happening which we particularly don't know, whether you are a student or whether it's about me. There are many things which I don't know, but I get to know that people are solving when we go to this kind of places. And third is, if you get a chance, right, try to go to any BNI meeting as a visitor, right? BNI is Business Network International. Look about it, try to go in any of the meeting as a visitor, right? Your perspective will really change about how things happen in the real world, right? The energy, the kind of work they do, the kind of the way meetings are conducted, right? The schedule which they follow, the content which they share, how they pitch, right? It's more of business, but yeah, it's also there are many bits of it which we can implement in, whether it's the learning, whether it's the examination, whether it's your graduation journey, right? Many things you'll get to know through BNI. You'll make good friends there. Yeah, so these are the three things. I'm not more of a clubbing person, so don't know any places where you can go and chill as such for these things. But these three, I would love to do any day. Even as a student, I did this, and even today, I do that.
Yeah, that was great to hear. And about BNI, actually, my father does attend BNI meetings and he gives me the
Correct.
same advice that I should go there. So I'll
You
definitely,
should, you
we all
should.
will definitely, yeah, we all will definitely try to do all of these stuff. So, as we all know, to move towards sustainability, we need a
Mhm.
good collaboration between the government, private sector, and the consumers as a whole. So,
Correct.
how do you, what kind of support do you think the government should be offering to move towards sustainability, and especially how should they be promoting electric vehicles in logistics?
So, see, if we talk about the collaborations, I think everyone is currently doing their bit. If you take example of, for example, Zomato, it gives you an option whether you want a priority delivery or you want a shared delivery, right? So that's the bit which they are doing, and they are promoting it by giving a discount on the delivery fee, right? That's their way of promoting. What we do at PieKart is where we give the lesser cost and try to get more orders in one vehicle, therefore reducing cost and vehicles, right? What government as a whole they are itself doing is giving subsidies on the EV to promote EV adoption. Secondly, they are bringing platforms like ULIP, right, unified logistics interface, wherein you can just put your details what you want to ship from point A in, let's say, from one city to another city across the country, and they show that what are the best ways, most optimized way in terms of cost and time through which you can deliver, like from, let's say, point A to point B, you deliver through the transport. From point B to point C, you go through railways. From point C to point D, you again go through X transport, right, which helps you save the time as well as save money. So they are already bringing this kind of concept. Second is probably ONDC, right, wherein they, as a seller app or as a buyer app, you can yourself choose that what kind of delivery option you want, right? And recently there has also been an experiment with that itself, whether you want it to get delivered through a EV vehicle, then X is the cost, and if you want to get it delivered through a normal vehicle, then Y is the cost, right? So this kind of steps are being taken. Many summits are being held for this, right? There are many companies which are coming into this sector, for example, Blue Smart, Blue Wheels, Switch Mobility, right, who are solely focused on providing, or let's say bringing this revolution of EV to commercial side, right? Providing buses, EV buses to the BMC, heavy duty EV commercial vehicles to the logistics sector, right? Long range vehicles for long haul, which is from city to city transfer. So there are bits coming. There has been certain collaborations which are going on, but yeah, like I told before, there's a long way to go until and unless more number of players are organized in this market. It's going to be a tough fight to promote this, or to say that yeah, we are going very quick into the sustainability phase of the industry.
Yes, I'm sure that all the players are taking a step towards sustainability, and that's why we can see so many electric vehicles nowadays compared to before. So, could you share your opinion on how is the growth of EV industry in India, and like what scope does it hold further?
So I think EV adaptability, like I told, is increasing fairly well in the other part, apart from non-commercial market, right? Where people are open to buy EV scooters, people are open to buy EV four-wheelers, because again the cost is somewhere a bit lesser and the mileage is more, right? Because if you talk about EV scooters, like there are companies like Zip, right, who provide you an electric vehicle for a very lesser cost, and also a single charge you can go up to 100 kilometers. And when it's about a two-wheeler, you actually don't have to go to a longer distance. So on the non-commercial side, I think the adaptability, as per me, again, is going pretty well. More and more models are coming into the market. But on the commercial side, I don't see many companies going into the EV. Like the rickshaws, EV rickshaws again in Mumbai are very less. They are a lot more in North Delhi NCR, right? Again, more in South, but not penetrated that much yet into Mumbai or Western side, I would say, right? And same thing for the transport industry, very less from penetration, but yeah, that's what EV is all about. Like we also face certain difficulties getting EVs on board, and we do have a good fleet of EVs, but yeah, we cannot use fully rely on it as of now.
Yeah, it's so encouraging to see such progress in the EV industry. Moving forward, what emerging opportunities do you see in the fields of sustainable mobility and supply chain management? Like if you have in mind any new innovation in these sectors, which you are personally excited about.
So I think there have been quite a few, right? Recently, yesterday or day before yesterday itself, there was an article from Shadowfax that they are launching their own routing ecosystem, which would reduce or can say give most optimal route for deliveries, and would work also on the address correction. So something similar, which we also have been using since 2 years, we have built internally, right? The intelligent routing. So uh, what I like and from what I saw is that people are actually trying to solve this problem, which I think you would have already heard, the traveling salesman's problem, right? Which is a $1 billion question, and that is answered to again very a lot of questions in terms of your distance, time, and seeing that in the supply chain, companies and people working on this side of solving this problem and coming up with this kind of algorithms, right? The supply chain is not just the delivery or logistics. It's also about how you operate in an industry or how you operate in the factory. What is your way of production line, how the production happens, how do you reduce the turnaround time of your production, procurement, right? And with AI, with data, and with all the other parts, people are building the algorithm which is actually reducing the TAT by 30%, 40%. So these are few parts which I think that they are really changing the landscape. Like from a 3 day, because of all these things, in simpler words, the impact is once where we were getting the deliveries in 4 days, 5 days, now the output is coming into hyper local in minutes, right? So any we cannot say that in supply chain there is any new thing which is visible immediately, but it's a long term thing when we talk about supply chain. But yes, the classic example is from 6 day, 7 day turnaround time to minutes, 10 minute, I would say. So that's what excites me, the upcoming part of hyperlocal as a whole.
Thank you for sharing those insights on future opportunities. This brings us to your future plans and how you envision leveraging these opportunities. If you could share something on that.
So our future plan, majorly I would talk about Oorja, is to get into this segment, right? Wherein we penetrate into more and more tier 2 cities, tier 3 cities, and we work on providing the shared delivery to the enterprise as well, wherein we can potentially club the orders of Flipkart and Myntra because both are delivering to the same pin code from nearby warehouses. And instead of using multiple vehicles, the broader future goal is that we as a whole could club the orders or deliveries of these big giants, right? And actually create an impact by reducing the number of vehicles, reducing the cost, and making the deliveries happen on the same day with Oorja. So that's the broader vision, and that's where we have been working all along.
It is really nice to hear the vision of your company currently, and I'm sure it will definitely achieve what you've planned. This brings us to the last question of our podcast. That is, what is one advice that you'd like to give to our audience watching?
So it's well, like I am currently not, I would say, quite equipped to give advice to anyone, right? But one thing which I generally keep on telling, and which actually I get a lot from my mentor Sandeep here, so that no matter what's going on, right, stay on the pitch. Things will happen. Sometimes it will be a bouncer, sometimes it will be a Yorker, but stay on the pitch. So yeah, we don't know the outcome. Nobody knows the outcome. The only thing you can do is be there. So that's what I would even tell to anyone else who would ask me this.
Definitely, it is definitely relatable to everyone who will watch this and who will not watch this. It is really very precious advice you gave to us. Thank you so much to coming to our podcast and giving your time. We are really pleased to have you here, and thank you for sharing those insights of your college days, your work experiences, insights from the energy sector, and I'm sure it will help our audience in the future. Thank you so
Sure.
much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.